April 25th, 2017, and I am on the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or JPL, to see what they're up to today. Well, a little more than that. Well, we have here is a new ultra-thin optical devices shape light in exotic ways. Yeah, they made this 2 years ago. Not just a patent, it's working. What are they doing with this technology? Well, let's dig into this. Researchers have developed innovative flat optical lenses as a part of a collaboration between NASA, JPL Laboratory, and Caltech, both in Pasadena, California. These optical components are capable of manipulating light in ways that are difficult or impossible to achieve with conventional lenses. Wow, this is insane when you see what this is. New lenses are not made of glass. Instead, silicon nanopillars are precisely arranged into a honeycomb pattern to create a metasurface that control the path and properties of passing light waves. Yeah, like an active lens, right? Applications of the devices include advanced microscopes, displays, sensors, cameras. Did you catch that? Displays, like Project Bluebeam, a projector. Yeah, sensors, cameras. This is an amazing set of technologies. The implications are huge of what they can do with the manipulation of light with these flat lenses. Will help more compact, robust imaging assemblies, mass-produced. Currently, optical sensors are made of one component at a time. Not anymore. But this new technology, very similar to the one used to print semiconductor chips onto silicon wafers. Yeah, silk screens. So you would conceivably manufacture millions of systems of microscopes at a time, or cameras. Seen under a scanning electron microscope, the metastructures that the researchers created resemble a cut forest where the stumps remain. Let's just stop there for a second. Stumps. Here are your silicone stumps. Okay, this is a conceptual drawing of these silicone stumps that are thousands of the thickness of a human hair. Now, that rotate and change the diameter of each pillar. Fit by carefully varying the diameters of each pillar and rotating them around their axis. Let's stop there for a second. Here's my theory, because they're not going to tell you how this really works. They're just kind of being vague. But let me blow the lid off this one. I believe what they have done here is put a layer like this cutaway view of a LCD screen, just like a TV set, right? But instead of putting LCDs, liquid crystal layers, they've got these silicone pillars in their place. And when they apply the voltage to this voltage sensitive silicone pillars on these XY axis, in other words, a microchip can apply voltage to X and Y axis on a particular pixel and turn the color off or on. But instead of LCDs, they've got silicone pillars that can change shape and size, affecting the electromagnetic property of light. Because if you can bend its electromagnetic property, you can change and bend light. That's how they're doing it. And that's very key to the video that I'm going to show you next. But let's just read a little bit more. Polarization refers to some light waves. Now, I'm trying to stay focused here. Now, what they can do is they can, now look at this. millimeters thick, a hundredth of a thickness of a human hair. Okay, additionally, the flat lenses can be used to modify the shape of light beams at will, instantly, like a TV screen. That is crazy. Semiconductor lasers typically emit elliptical beams that are really hard to work with, and the new metasurface optical components replace expensive optical systems to circularize the beams. Now, back to here, phase. Changing the phase of the wave has to do with the separation between peaks of the light waves. The light waves in phase, if they're in phase, it's called constructive, and they're destructive light. The constructive light will produce a more powerful wave, like a laser. Constructive light. Manipulating its phase into the degree which light ray bends, which in turn influences whether the image is in or out of focus. Okay, let's stop there for a second. Why is that important to take lenses in or out of focus? Because you can hide objects that way, like a planet, like this simple video from a conventional lens, not like what's used in outer space, which I'll prove in a minute, right there. So here I take a lens and an easy demonstration pulling an object out of focus with a conventional lens, bending its light away from your eyes. You don't see it, moving the point of convergence away because it is seen at the point of convergence. If you change it, it is not visible. It's not really that complicated. Now here are the lenses, the lens array in outer space that we see. Now I'm building up to a very awesome point with this, so please hang in there. This time-lapse video over Australia shows so much. First, we see the oscillating Fresnel lens, which we'll get into the NASA sun pattern. We see the fake sun traveling. I'm focusing on the lens array for right now. We'll get into the fake sun in a minute. Now, see this lens here. They're not moving with the sun. They're near the horizon because Planet X is coming at us at the ecliptic plane. Which,
okay, guys, just so that I can interject, Jeff Pease, again, a very, very credible researcher, and he's certainly focused a lot more on the lenses that are shifting the focal point of these celestial bodies as they orbit in their retrograde orbit around their primary star or the dwarf star, because we've got two stars, as I understand it, a binary star system. If you include our solar system, then it's a trinary star system, and that's at least what I strongly believe from the research I've done so far is to be the case. So when he mentions Planet X, my understanding is it's this one celestial body that everyone's focused on could very possibly be any one of those celestial bodies as this primary star exits from the system, from its barycenter with our sun, and I believe that will happen once the energy of our sun has been totally waned and drained. Is when that magnetic attraction between the two celestial bodies will wane also, and as a result, it will basically catapult back out to the trajectory it came from, which may cause it to go up and over our sun and down again. During this time, other celestial bodies that is brought with itself will follow this star out to its trajectory. This is when I'm suspecting, and I'd certainly again want to draw the attention of our beloved ulama ikiram to this, is that this is when I suspect that one of the celestial bodies, if not the stars, the primary star, if not the primary star or the brown dwarf star, then any one of the planets will basically fly over and past us. And my personal position is that the surah, the passage in the Quran, Ash-Shu'ara 25:4, where there's a mention that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed, He could send down to them from the sky a sign for which their necks would remain humbled. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. That surah in and of itself mentions a lot of the nations, just like Surah Al-Najm, all these nations that were destroyed through natural disasters. And then there seems to be this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, but I just wanted to draw their attention to that particular passage. It's really, really been like drawing me to it. And, again, it's we'll find out the truth of that, but it seems that that's maybe when we see this celestial body, this planet, or any one of the celestial bodies from this binary star system right above us, when they can't occlude it anymore, hide it anymore, and it'll be there playing for everyone to see. I think that's the planet that they're going to tout as Nibiru Planet X. When I say they, I mean the Shayateen, the elitists who are allied with very dark forces, and they intend to stage a false extraterrestrial contact during that particular point. Prior to that, we will have, or around that time, we will have experienced a lot of natural disasters due to the magnetic and gravitational and climatic influence of these celestial bodies from this binary star system. But also, what you've got is basically, in essence, is the props, right? And the prop would be a celestial body, a very real one from the Khazana, the Qudrat, from the might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Shaitan, I understand, is scheming to exploit that opportunity, to use that prop, as it were, when it's above us. And, we are humbled by the vision in our above our atmosphere, and we're totally in awe of this, where we see this other celestial body so close to us, right, as it's following back out to the trajectory from whence it came. This is when I believe that the Shayateen are looking to stage a false extraterrestrial contact, which is going to be extra-dimensional beings, by the way, using man-made technology and other technologies they have. Holographic technology will certainly play a huge part in that. And there's many other things, but this is just, I guess, for this particular vlog, we're focusing on the developments being made on this. Identify this as done a smashing recent upload documenting what we see as these lines occurring above our atmosphere, horizontal lines, which seems to be something very artificial again. So I mean, it lends credence to these lenses or something else, but at least what we do know is something is array and not quite right. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
Means we're going to be watching this thing. If we're ever going to hope to see this Planet X coming in at the Earth's ecliptic plane, we need to see it on the horizon. And that's where they need to hide these lenses, right here on the horizon. And have you noticed that all the Planet X videos are always seen on the right, not just where the cameras are? You see that? Okay, so we have lenses here, and here, and here, big and small, massive array, and I believe these are the ultra-thin lenses, which this matrix is failing. And hang in there, because I will show you absolute proof that this is failing in a grander scale, and perhaps in a few short months, we will be seeing it as this completely fails, because these active lenses will fail. Why? I'll explain just a little bit later. Just hang in there. So let me go back to the NASA Sun patent here. This is the NASA Sun patent. I will leave a link to the patent. From the Sun simulator, this is the Sun. This is the Sun emitter. This is round. This little concave disc is the black dot. Here it is looking at it sideways, reflecting the light before it bounces on the convex mirror and bounces out to the Earth. And next, here is a FAA camera of the projection as it passes through the lens. It is being projected. This thing is magnified. We see evidence of the Sun simulator projection. Why is it hexagonal? Because that's the shape of the light source. Then without any further, I believe that the James Webb Telescope, which was due to be launched in 2018, is actually being used as part of the Sun simulator. This object here is part of the Sun simulator. Let me look at the beryllium, gold-plated beryllium plates. These as a separate component here. The main component is in this video, the James Webb Telescope. Here they are making this thing, and many have asked, how big is it? Well, now I can answer your question. It is the size of a tennis court. Here this guy is working on it. I believe this is the actual object. Now, NASA is saying they haven't even launched this object. I believe it's already in space. This here would be about the position of the Fresnel lens. Here are some more pictures of the conceptual drawing, not the actual drawing of this thing. You can go to the website. I'll try and leave links in the description of how this thing unfolds into space. This bolt beam here folds all the way back. These part fold to the side. This is the sun shield. I don't believe it's quite. Well, this sun shield serves, it's basically a beryllium, very thin shield that there's 5 layers of it, and the basically keeps this side cold. Now they say that the gold reflects the infrared light. They want to keep this side cold and protecting this side from the sun facing side so that this doesn't get hot. That's what they're saying. Is that true? Partly true. Now here is an actual photo of the, they call this an infrared space telescope. I believe this is part of the Fresnel. This would where the mirror would be, and the spinning Fresnel lens would be at this edge here where the light bounces back, and they would have put another mirror on the other edge of this thing. Nice photograph, by the way. So that picture you just saw would have been this portion of it right here. Now this sun disk is still missing from this picture, and so is the spinning Fresnel lens, but I will continue to put this puzzle together. So next let's move on to the further evidence of the Fresnel lens. Now this is from the Zion channel. This is amazing. We got them. This thing, watch this thing spin as he zooms in on this black dot. Not a camera apparition. And I got proof that it is nothing to do with the camera because this thing disappears completely. That is the spinning dot. He's looking right down the barrel through the hole. You got to be at that hole. And I bet this thing actually kind of rotates a little bit. So that's why it changes, disappears, and reappears a little bit while he is viewing it. Not everybody can see it at the same time. You got to be looking down this thing as it rises. Notice.
So this is the multiple aspects of the technologies that they seem to be using. One is certainly the lenses that we just discussed earlier on, and Jeff P fantastically elaborated on. And then you've got this other solar sun simulator, which actually simulates our sun. It's just like a flood lamp. If you look at the sun right now, it's a lovely day out there, but when you stare at the sun, you can tell that that's not our sun. I mean, I've spent most of my youth, outside, you know, I mean, on the streets, to be honest with you, and outside in the elements. I know what the sun should look like and how it should feel. That doesn't feel like my sun. It feels like a flood lamp, and it doesn't feel right on my skin as well. I just instinctively can sense that there's something not wholesome about it. And then when you look at it, it's plain for eyes to see. At any rate, what they seem to be using to compensate for the sun being drained, and we've obviously shared that periodically with you guys, is the solar sun simulator, which is up there orbiting around the sun in a heliosynchronistic orbit, and it'll continue to do that, like Jeff said, up until these celestial bodies get really close, because then they're basically going to draw any one of the, and that also applies to any of the satellites they've got up there, all sorts of debris, due to the magnetic and gravitational attraction and pull of these celestial bodies. They'll basically strip them out of our atmosphere. And that includes all of these technologies. So it's going to be a great unveiling where you're going to just literally see the veil lift, and then whatever's up there we'll be able to see as plain as day. Scientifically, at least, that's what we believe would happen as a result. And Allah Subhanahu wa Taala knows best. And this is when I believe that's when it's going to occur, where we're going to see this celestial body and this false extraterrestrial contact that's going to be staged during that time, alongside the World War III they're trying to instigate right now, the economic collapse, and biological warfare, which is the spread of disease. Okay, so it's going to be, this seems to be on the cards, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala knows best. Again, the whole idea is psychologically, if we're traumatized and we go through suffering, then we're much more receptive to being coerced and influenced and manipulated. And they understand the psychology of mankind and humanity and how to then exploit that. And this is, I guess, during and around this time is when they're going to stage this, and this is then going to be followed by the Antichrist, as I understand it, and also with him claiming to have extraterrestrial origins. So I understand that what they're going to do is maybe have a thesis and an antithesis in above us as well, in terms of extraterrestrial beings. So you've got extraterrestrial beings who are from this binary star system, which is part of our solar system, so our trinary system. And there's these extraterrestrial beings, false ones of course, who will claim to be the Sumerian gods and the the Sumerian gods. And then you've got this other extraterrestrial sentient beings who will claim to come from where the Sirius star is, right? وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ رَبُّ الشِّعْرَى, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in a passage, that I am the Lord of the Sirius star. There's multifaceted reasons why, and I guess they reveal themselves and unfold as time moves on. One which is quite clear to us is the inhabitants of Egypt during the time of Umar Faruq radiallahu anhu, the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, who used to sacrifice young maidens to the river Nile, so to invoke the god that was symbolized in the Sirius star. Again, if you go back to Masonry, you'll come to understand what they reference as the blazing star, or the great architect, or and how they worship at the zenith of the order, the Sirius star. And it's not quite worship, but rather they believe that this is, Lucifer, na'uzubillah min zalik, achieving godhood, and that they themselves believe that, just like Fir'aun claimed, that they can, through this initiation process, by virtue of the teachings and receiving energies that Lucifer has brought, and these initiation process of degrees and other occult doctrines of initiation processes, whether that would be through the Kabbalah, which is a Jewish doctrine, or whether that be through Buddhism, whether that be through the meditation and then opening up the third eye, the chakra in Hinduism, or whether that would be Masonry with the 33 vertebrae and then the pineal gland, which we've discussed in the vlog called Ka Fa Ra. where we discussed the Eye of Horus in a reasonable length. I mean, all of these religions and many others will be combined when Dajjal, the Antichrist, comes and who claim to be that sentient being coming from that system, right? So what they'll claim is different beings from different systems, at least two, a thesis and an antithesis. The thesis would be Dajjal, the Antichrist. The antithesis will be the Sumerian gods, and they'll claim they're trying to enslave humanity, but they all played some sort of a role in our evolution, as it were, and that they made humanity by splicing the DNA of the Homo erectus, and by virtue of that, fulfilling the kind of gap that paleontologists are experiencing in from ape to man. There's a huge void that they're still not been able to fill up. It's just all conjecture and theory, but this will they're hoping to then explain away that gap by saying that they spliced their own DNA with the Homo erectus and created Adam and Eve, Adam alayhi salam and Hawa, and Eden happened to be, I believe they're gonna say Egypt happened to be Eden, spoken of in the Bible, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, and make connections with the River Nile and how the pastures were quite green in that area, in that region during that time. And it seems that this whole extraterrestrial card is going to play a huge at least the Giza pyramids are going to play a huge role in this deception, and this deception is going to be connected to the Dajjal. The pyramids are going to have a huge connection to the thesis in this extraterrestrial card, which is from the Sirius system, the Pleiades, and then you've got the Sumerians, which are going to be from the binary system. And Allah Subhanahu wa Taala knows best. This is certainly what what I believe instinctively, and what I've come to learn since I've been going on this journey and researching this system, this binary star system, and collectively, I guess, certainly my dreams have played a huge role in this journey that I've been taking. But again, so far I've hardly, other than spoken about the dream, having a dream, I've not really uh, um, divulged any details about those dreams. Well, not at length at any rate. So I have tried to divorce my dreams from all of this and just basically present to you what very competent researchers have found about this system, and then other bits and pieces of information that I've been finding. And this is just that since a child, I've just had this knack for being able to see these sort of patterns emerge, and then try and connect the dots. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Only time will tell how accurate the claims in the science PDF were, although it seems like the claims made in them as time goes on are just being reaffirmed by events as we see them, whether that would be celestial events, whether that would be climatic events, geological events, or political events. It seems that all of them are coming to a head, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I really wish that the postulation or made in that document were in fact inaccurate. I really do. But it's cause for concern.
Nobody sees this black dot while it's straight above the sky. It's only while it's low on the horizon. So please, I'll leave you a link. Wow. And I want to pause here for a second. Now, please notice that you do see the yellow real sun here, and the white fake sun in the middle. And there is a lens in front of this entire system here. And you can almost make out the edges. So the yellow true sun and the white fake sun, all in one picture. And this thing rotates. Want some more evidence? Here's an infrared spectrum of it. Here's the infrared watching it on an FLR camera. Anybody can go buy one, just exactly the same thing, rotating away. It's cooler, and I suspect that this thing probably has a 1-year life expectancy from all the heat that's being focused on this Fresnel lens, because it's right at the focal point of all that light, like a magnifying glass. This thing's been overheating. Has this been falling from the sky on a regular basis, and NASA's been hiding it? Maybe. Now next, for the point of the whole video, I would also like to show you my explanation from the Identify This channel and what she's seeing.
There you go. I'm so glad Jeff is also following her channel. Very confident. She's absolutely brilliant. I really do keep up to speed with the vlogs and the videos that she archives. These captures are just, if you see this, you'll see exactly what Jeff also means.
In the sky. This is pretty amazing as the matrix is falling apart. And she has the lens system.
These are the horizontal lines that I was referring to, right? So this is the lens system, I understand, and Jeff also agrees with me, is above our atmosphere, and we can't really see it. But when the sun basically captures it in a certain lights and a quarter at a certain angle, then the CCTV and the cameras are picking it up, right? But we're not seeing it because it's difficult to see. But once the sun basically captures it on a certain angle, then it's caught by the cameras.
Now, this is no ordinary lens system. Like, again, this is just a big TV screen in the sky, like I described earlier. Let's see, I got some pre-recorded time-lapse videos of this, but you could see this is happening in cameras all around this area. And I believe it's the Nemesis star that's in close approach, nearing close to the Earth, near the orbit of Mercury. Yeah, that close. As it gets close to this thing, the brightness and the magnetic effects of all the planets in the system are overloading this lens system, which is magnetically warping and actively changing this light system, blowing out the electronics. I knew this day was going to come. So did they. What do you think they're going to do when this thing gets too big? Look how the light is now coming through, is failing to warp and change because of the magnetic field. And it's actually creating heat in the atmosphere and vent.
You see, one of the things I'm postulating, because I've been thinking about this system, this lensing system, by the way, because we've been studying it for a long time now, a long time. There's many questions that obviously arise as a result of studying this lensing system that they're using to shift the focal point of these celestial bodies. And is putting it together and fashioning it and having it orbit above our atmosphere. These are all huge logistical, almost impossibilities, to be honest with you, at least in this size. But then if you think outside of the box and you look at, we've talked about how chemtrailing in and of itself is multifaceted and it's used for multi-purposes. And then if you maybe study nanotechnologies, right, and nanoparticulates, then technology has advanced so much that they can basically realign nanoparticulates just using certain currents, okay, electrical currents. So there's nothing to suggest that they can't really spray it using these military planes above our atmosphere, and then use some sort of a remotely, by proxy, realign those nanoparticulates to create this sort of a lens, a tool like, I mean, this is going to be a very, very thin lens, but I mean, if you studied nanotechnology, you would be amazed at how condensed and how strong these small molecules are, and how efficient they are, and how they can be used for all sorts of purposes. It's just phenomenal. Yet again, there's another technology just like cloning that's basically kind of being developed in the shadows, and there's only so many things about that technology that we know. It's very, it could be, it's conceivable that they can spray these particulates using those military planes, jet planes, which would have, which would basically temporarily work and function as this lensing system above our atmosphere, and then dissipate. There's no reason to believe. I mean, it's something that certainly I want to put out there in the research circles, and let's see where it takes us. But I think it's certainly worthwhile considering, because I mean, logistically, just trying to understand. I mean, okay, you can have these lensing systems, and they could be several lenses, but I mean, we saw the circular ones at least. What Jeff just showed us, but looking at this and what identifying this has been picking up on several locations. This isn't just it. This isn't the only capture, by the way, guys. Okay, different locations across the globe. It's being caught in the horizon, and it's not a camera anomaly. So I mean, what I've been scratching my head off trying to think about it, and I genuinely believe that maybe perhaps they're using nanoparticulates to create this sort of a lensing system above our atmosphere, and by proxy remotely controlling it and aligning them so that they function as they were intended to, which is again as a lensing system, right? But it's something that I certainly want to maybe put out there with the rest of the guys and see, what we can maybe come up with on that particular possibility.
Bending the light and warping the light in front of the lens, creating distortion before our very eyes. Yeah, I think that's exactly what this is. Here's a quick video of the James Webb Telescope, conceptual, just how easy this. It has not been launched yet. Well, that's what they say. I think it's already out there. Is it really a telescope? Yeah. No, I think it actually is the one and the same. The sun simulator.
Also, guys, if you look at the UV right now, it's not good for you to be out there in the sun. It really isn't. It's around about 12 last time it was checked. We're using a bona fide meter. 12, that's like ridiculously high. In fact, it's unprecedented. It's not healthy. You shouldn't be out there. It causes skin cancer. It's not a real sun, right? Now imagine a flood lamp shining down on us, and then what you've got is a neutron star, and our sun, and another star which is in and around our above our atmosphere. Okay, rotating around one another, or one's basically orbiting around the primary star, and you've got all of this light, and then their respective UV outputs, which are basically raining down and basking the surface of the Earth through our atmosphere, and then onto our skins. And to compound that further, you've got this false solar sun simulator, which certainly can't simulate wholesome, natural energy that our sun does. Again, it's artificial, right? So I mean, it stands to reason. I mean, I certainly don't recommend, and I can feel it when I go out there. It just doesn't feel right. So many people reporting with all sorts of like skin issues and these and when your skin kind of gets pussy and it's got water inside it, and it starts puffing up. There's so many, even children are reporting this, and then signs are getting bleached. You're getting the coral that's being bleached around Australia at a record rate, and they're not being able to explain it, but that's the increase of UV radiation that basically we're getting exposed to.
Rocket's never been launched like this. No telescope. That's the promise. That's what we paid billions and trillions of dollars for, so they can hide this incoming system from our eyes. So it launches in outer space.
Isn't that just peaches?
Very similar to And here it puts it into a heliosynchronous orbit. The solar cells are deployed, and they don't even finish. Here we go. And this thing continues to unfold. I do believe that part of it's true. And the sun shield is released, which keeps the 5 layers of sun shield protected from overheating. This could stay icy cold. And there's that boom that comes down and deploys the James Webb Telescope. Just go look it up on YouTube. I don't think it's actually a telescope. Look, we even have the mirror effect here. These will extend out and complete 1/3 of the portion of the sun simulator. Now, many will still ask, why are they doing a fake sun? Again, I will have the same answer: to hide the unexpected solar eclipses of our sun, like we see in this Fox News time-lapse video. Now, here we are, classic example, the chemtrail clouds. Hot chemtrail clouds don't have ice because that came out of a hot jet. It was burnt.
Right, okay, guys, just follow me on this now. What we've got, let's pretend for a second right now, there's a primary neutron star that is parked next to our real sun, and it's draining our sun of its energy. And just like our sun, this star also has other celestial bodies that orbit it. Now, if it's parked next to our sun, then it stands to reason that the celestial bodies that have come in with this primary star are going to be basically orbiting around their star. As they do that, they're going to end up eclipsing our sun. And when they do that, what happens is the sun, just like a torch, would shine on the back of that particular celestial body whilst that celestial body is in front of it. And we understand there's a lot of gas giants that are orbiting this particular primary star, at least 4 or 5 from the research. Now, every time they come in front of our sun, what happens is the sun's glare is hitting the back of it, and then it creates a ring around the edge of that particular system, that star, that celestial body. And this ring, I want you to just imagine for a second, is basically the sun's light shining off the atmosphere of that planet, which is right now in front of our sun. And then what you see, that white light in the middle, is the solar sun simulator. That's not our sun, right? So it's in front of that planet, right? And that planet seems to be, that gas giant seems to be in front of our sun whilst it's orbiting its primary star, which is An-Najm Thaqib, which is parked next to our sun and tearing the sun's atmosphere, right? And they're explaining this halo away as ice crystals. Now it's interesting because we're in the middle of summer, right? And in certain locations where it's really, really hot, right? You've got other places where it's very cold right now, and the climate's going absolutely crazy, and it would, as a result of a system like this, disrupting the status quo of our solar system. But the ice crystals wouldn't then exist in a vacuum, which is in space, and it does around our sun. We've seen that in ISS, and I've shared this with you in Solar Sun Simulator Part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, respectively, where we discuss this in detail. So, I mean, the explanation they're giving is certainly the official one. It doesn't fit. But this one, it certainly does. And I agree with Jeff in that this is very, very likely a planetary body that's coming in front of our sun, which is creating this halo, which is being projected onto our atmosphere, onto the clouds in our atmosphere, or even the chemtrailing that they're doing, is capturing the surface, the atmosphere of that planet as it's orbiting around An-Najm Thaqib, which is next to our sun.
Right?
I hope that made sense.
Look, there's the gas. Most people are not dumb enough to fall for that. But look at this eclipse. Now, notice how this outer diameter does not change in size. And I like this point right here. If you notice that you only have light here, look at this eclipse as it actually closed off the light, just like an eclipse, a normal eclipse. And then once the threat of the eclipse is gone. They no longer chemtrail. Look at that, people. I've got one more video that shows. Let me show you just how that works. Now, some of you have seen this before, but I have to show it again, explaining how this fake sun works. The light represents the sun, which the Earth orbits around. The flashlight orbits around the Earth in a heliosynchronous orbit. And then when clouds pass at high altitudes, you have a small sun, and low altitudes, you have a big sun. Small sun, big sun. See how that works? Small, big. Now I've got time-lapse videos that proves this. Now, that would be absolutely impossible if that was the real sun. But this is what I call the flashlight effect, small and big. Let's look at how that applies to a solar eclipse and why we're seeing the things we do in the sky. Here is a solar eclipse. It's being eclipsed. I've got a lid. Then we put a fake sun in front of it. Now, since the object blocking the sun is smaller than the sun, we're going to get the sun dogs. But as it approaches the sun, it blocks out the Earth, and now we're getting the dark halos like we are now. Please go back and watch my other videos about this topic. I'm running out of time. And again, here we are with the fake sun simulator in outer space, reflecting from the space station. Notice the sun is over here. And look at this sun disk object here turning off and on. Now, last I checked, we'd see the sunset. Okay, does that even look like a sunset to you? Does it start from the horizon? Right. I have other videos about this too. This just proves the fact. Oh, this looks awfully familiar, but the sun dogs that we see from around this same effect that we see with the light coming at the 9, 6, and 3 o'clock position. On all my other videos, I believe the sundog days are over because the planets are so much closer that they've basically pinched off the light, and now we're only getting this. Again, the meteorologists want to call this ice crystals. But if they were ice crystals, where is the full spectrum rainbow? Where's the purples and the greens? Ice crystals? Well, you at least got to say they're chemtrails. Watch this. The black dot thing, remember we talked about this? Oh, that's a camera aberration. Well, no, it's not. Then how come it's reflecting on the water? Come on, it's reflecting on everything if you get the right camera angle. Most people don't take the time to bother, but this thing actually rotates. Yeah, it rotates. Now, I know I'm kind of laboring this point. So here, over in Australia, is the spinning Fresnel lens. If I can get... So here is the rotating lens projected because we have a lens system in front of it. Let's play the video real quick. Go back and watch it in my video archives. Here's the spinning Fresnel lens rotating once again in front of it. But this lens system is now failing. Let's see if we can try and watch one nice... I know it's a little redundant, but I'm trying to make this most comprehensive fake sun video I have ever made. Right there. Yeah. Some of you have said, Jeff, you're crazy. Your fake sun idea is insane. Then you tell me why has the Germans actually turned on a fake sun in this huge fake sun simulator? Yep. They turned it on. Here's a picture of it. Here the Germans are standing in front of it. And last but not least, is this the Fresnel lens that fell from space? This is from the Steve Olson channel. This is from an analog camera taking pictures of the sun itself. Look at these concentric circles of the spinning Fresnel lens. Look how this thing rotates. I believe this thing actually fell from space. I think it actually has a 2-year lifespan. These strange balls. I think, look at this thing. I think that's it. I want you to notice this thing, how it has 2 orbiting hinges here. We have the hinge here, which allows it to rotate. And then we've got this hinge here. So it rotates like a gyroscope. I don't believe this thing rotates in 100, 360 degrees. I think it has a rotation that allows it to move around to aim its light wherever it sees. And these 4 light sensors that it has here. Let's look at, check this out. This is how it originally found, with this dog in the background. And all these cables and wires are attached to it. Does this thing have a lifespan? Does this thing fall? And was this thing attached to it? I think it's possible. It certainly seems to look very similar to the Fresnel lens with this pattern here. Was it a gas tank? I don't know. Still thinking about that one. It looks like an asbestos chamber. Could have been coated with a gold coating on it, and it melted on re-entry. So, don't know for sure. That's my theory, that they keep falling from space and they're intermittently every few years. So, here is a shiny version of it that fell from space. This guy from the Sunday Express News. This is old news. It's been happening. So let's look again at this failing lens array, that we could see this thing just being overloaded by the magnetic fields of the Nemesis star and its planets and all its intense magnetic fields, just totally overloading it. I believe these people actually go up getting intense sunburns too. I'd like to get a straight time-lapse video of this, right in this position where these lenses would be on the horizon, by the way. And the channel explain this. I will leave a link in the description of this failing lens array. And it is pretty stunning. And you could almost see the light shining between these lenses here. And these active lenses must be computer controlled, probably from the space station, where they're getting shorted out, the inability to control the manipulation of light. And I also believe this could be part of Project Bluebeam. And I have one final thought to share with you, which is, on Miss Willie channel, this amazing super dark halo, which was over in Colombia, hope I pronounced that right, that since we have these panels in place that can project images, do you suppose that this may someday be the fake alien invasion of a giant mothership? It wouldn't be that hard, since we've already got the chemtrails as a display, the background, and the projectors known as the ultra-thin lenses from JPL and Caltech, easily able to project images on that part of Project Bluebeam. So, I also want to show you one other thing. The cooling system of this star, this guy here on that control panel, this is the cooling system from this device here. Shows like the back side of it. Probably a different device, but it is a cooling system. Anyways, just a theory. Please copy, like, and share.